You've been there, right? You spend weeks, maybe even months, building what you think is the perfect ad campaign. The pictures are amazing, the copy is just chef's kiss. You hit publish, you see your budget start ticking down, and then nothing. Crickets. Zero sales. It is, without a doubt, one of the most soul-crushing feelings when you're trying to launch something.
Now, when that happens, it's so easy to blame the platform. Maybe your budget wasn't big enough. But you know what? Most of the time, the real problem is staring you right in the face. It's the simple truth right here. When you try to talk to everyone, you end up talking to absolutely no one. Your message just gets lost in all the noise.
So the fix isn't some crazy, complicated new strategy, at least not at the beginning. It's really about getting back to basics with something called the MVP audience. That's your minimum viable profile. Think of it as your absolute foundation. And to build it, all you have to do is answer 4 crucial questions before you spend a single dime. Let's break them down.
First up, we've got question number 1, which I like to call the targeting question. Honestly, this is the most practical, nuts and bolts part of the whole thing, because without this, you literally can't even get off the starting line.
I mean, just think about it. The second you open up any ad manager, what's the first thing it asks you for? Location, age, interests, right? So if you can't answer this question, who is this specifically for? You can't even launch an ad. And vague answers like, oh, people who are into fitness. Well, those are just campaign killers. You've got to get specific. So for your MVP audience, all you need to start are these 3 things: location, demographics, and one key identifier. That's it. Where do they live? What's their general age range? And this is the most important part. What is that one thing, like a job title or a really specific hobby, that separates them from everybody else? That's just starting point. Okay, so once you know who you're talking to, the next question is, what are you going to say to them? And that brings us to question 2, the pain. This is what I call the hook question, because it's all about getting to the core of your audience's problem.
And this right here, this is a total game changer. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wakes up in the morning thinking, you know what I want to do today? Buy your product. No, they wake up wanting a solution to a problem that's driving them crazy right now. We're looking for their hair on fire problem, that thing that's so urgent they drop everything to put out the fire.
Look, if you can't clearly state their pain, your ad is just going to be a boring list of features that gets ignored. Your job is not to list 5 minor little problems. It's to find that single biggest frustration that keeps them up at night. Once you find that pain point, boom, that's the headline for your ad.
All right, so you know who you're targeting and you know their biggest pain point. The next logical step is, where on earth do you actually find these people? This is question number 3, the where, or the channel question.
Let's be real, especially when you're just starting out, your budget is probably pretty tight. You absolutely cannot afford to be everywhere all at once. You have to choose one battlefield, just one, where you've got the best chance of winning. And you do that by going where their attention already is. And the way to think about this is really a fundamental split. Is your audience actively looking for a solution, literally typing questions into a search bar? Well, that's intent, and you're going to want to be on a platform like Google. Or are they just passively scrolling looking for entertainment? That's discovery, and that's where platforms like TikTok and Meta really shine. For your very first campaign, just pick one. Okay, we are on the home stretch. We have our who, our pain, and our where. This brings us to the 4th and final question, the transformation. I call this the offer question because this is what pulls everything together into a message they can't ignore.
A huge mistake that new marketers make is they try to sell the plane flight. They talk about all the features, the specs, the process. But great marketers, they sell the tropical vacation. They sell the destination, the feeling, the outcome. This question forces you to stop talking about your product and start talking about the amazing result your customer actually gets.
So your offer is really just the bridge from their before state, that hair on fire problem we talked about, to their dream after state, their desired result. Do they get to save 10 hours a week? Do they finally get a full night's sleep? You're not selling the tool, you're selling the transformation. Okay, so that's the whole framework. 4 simple questions. But now, let's take this out of theory and into the real world. Let's run through a quick example to see just how powerful this is when you actually put it into action. Okay, let's pretend we're selling scheduling software. Who is it for? Let's say freelance designers in the US, between 25 and 40. What's their big problem? They're spending way too much time on unpaid admin work. Where are they hanging out? Probably on Instagram, since it's a visual platform they use for work inspiration. And the result we offer? We help them reclaim 5 hours a week for actual paid client work. See how crystal clear that is?
And just like that, we've gone from selling a really generic product, software, to this incredibly specific and compelling solution. We aren't selling software anymore. We're selling more paid hours for stressed designers on Instagram. Now that is a campaign you can build and launch like today. And really, that's the whole point of this. Don't get bogged down in creating these super complex buyer personas, not when you're just starting. Just use this as your simple launch checklist. Answer these 4 questions. Once you can answer them clearly, guess what? You're ready. It's time to stop researching and start testing in the real world.
By focusing on this minimum viable profile, you stop shouting at everyone and you start having a real conversation with the right one. You stop burning through your budget and you start seeing actual results. So, the only question left is, are you ready to find your MVP?